And
Which
then boom,
in
yeah, you get
reality, I
sick.
don't. In reality, I don't see people as what they're diagnosed with. You know, I see them as an individual. I'm like, how can I help you? So, like,
Yes.
but sometimes having the correct diagnosis is very important in the medical field. You know, because they spent over a decade treating me for something I didn't even have, and I'm just now in intense trauma therapy. I should have been in years ago. I'm thinking I could have healed years
Mhm.
ago, but I didn't know.
And it's the same. I have a similar thing. I wasn't diagnosed. I was diagnosed with a whole bunch of things, but until I was 49 years old. 49 is when I was diagnosed with the genetic condition. I was born this way. It explained everything from the time I was a little kid and those feelings of, because even at 6 years old, I had fatigue. I had crippling fatigue. My mother thought I was just a difficult child. But I can remember her having to pick me up out of my bed, put my clothes on me, and not being able to hold my head up or hold my arms up. And she thought I
Oh
was just being
gosh.
difficult. And and now that I know, it all makes sense. And all of the different things that I had to deal with over the years all make sense. Now, had I an earlier diagnosis, I probably would have been able to avoid or slow progression and have a better quality of life right now. But because I didn't have that, and honestly, it's a genetic test. It's a blood test.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
So why, like, I went through 49 years of hell. Well, I didn't. It wasn't all hell. I shouldn't say that. I learned to live with it. I thought things that weren't normal were normal.
Oh no,
And
adults never try to. Yeah.
yeah, as I got older, I realized, okay, well, not everybody has pain every single day of their lives, and not everybody has migraines. I talked to someone one time, and I'm talking about I can't remember, I had like some sort of episode going on, and she says, I've never had a headache before in my life. I don't even know what that's like. And I'm like, what? What do you mean? Doesn't everybody get them? Like, God.
I thought everybody had this, because you don't talk about this stuff. I thought everybody had that internal narrator that never shut up.
Yes, I said that to
I
someone one day. I'm
swear,
like,
I
don't you
thought
have it?
everybody had that. And mine
So did
was so
I.
bad at one point I couldn't even watch TV because it talked so much. Uh, and I know I don't. I know I just totally said that the wrong way. Please, I don't hear voices, y'all. I hear.
I was just gonna say, it's not
I don't
voices.
hear voices.
It's
I
like
don't
a,
have the language
it's
for
like,
this.
it's like somebody's in your head, and they're narrating your actions. So I'm going to do this broadcast, and I'm going to talk to Jeanette about all these things. And there's going to be these people coming here. And then I'm going to get up, and I'm going to go feed my dogs. And then I'm going to go do my laundry. And that's all like
Yeah,
a,
and you
a narrative in my head,
and you've done played
right?
that all out before you even started this. And as soon as it starts, it's still something. It's still you're planning your night
It's
while you're having
talking.
this interview. Yeah,
Yeah,
I thought everybody had that,
I did too. But then
and
my
it
husband and I
wasn't.
were talking about it right now, and he's like, no. You're crazy. Like, no, I'm not crazy because I know a lot of people. Don't you? No.
I think 2 months into CPT therapy, it went away, and my mind went quiet. And I sat here for like a whole week in silence because I was enjoying the
Where?
peace and quiet.
Where's my narrator?
I was like, just stay gone. And I told my husband, I said, look, I'm going to read a book and I'm going to watch TV.
Well, because that narrator sometimes doesn't ever shut up, and it also can be quite negative, and it can be like creating doubt and making you question your character and question your sanity and question a whole bunch of things about life
And
that maybe we shouldn't be questioning.
that was another misdiagnosis, though, because they had diagnosed me at one point with ADHD, and I do not have that.
I think that I wonder I feel like it's on the spectrum of autism. to be honest with you.
It was like, and so it was like, what is wild to me is PTSD was my first diagnosis, and it stayed on my records since I was like older teen, like young adults, right? And they never treated the PTSD, and I had never been to war, so I didn't think nothing of it, you know. I had never
Right.
been to war, so what should I worry about this for, you know? They have it a lot worse than I do, right? And so then the doctors just kept adding stuff and adding stuff and adding stuff, and just ignoring my trauma history. So I was like,
Yeah. That's hard.
and then, you know, I
That's
think
hard.
when does CPTSD really start being, you know, talked about? What, like several
Well,
years ago?
and a lot of people don't necessarily know the difference. Yeah, it was probably, it's been within the last decade.
So now,
So,
come to find out, I have both.
yeah.
I have double duty, you know. It's like, but I'm not angry. I don't know how a lot of people deal with this, but I was very, very angry for a while because I could
Yeah, I
really
bet you
be a
were.
case study. But then I'm thinking, all the people I was able to help, even though I was struggling, if I had to do it again, I would go back and help those people, even if I had to be misdiagnosed for over a decade. So I'm done being angry with it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that anger is part of the grieving process, right? Like, so Shelley, when you had your breakdown at 14, is that when they diagnosed you bipolar? Or are you on the spectrum as well? Sorry, that's kind of a personal question. My kids are on the spectrum. Um, and one of the things when they talk about like the literature on what I'm dealing with is it says you can experience or display autistic like symptoms, which would be like the very serious nature of everything all of the time, the very literal thoughts, you know, like, and I mean literal could be comedic somewhat too. And I'll give you an example. I was working as a waitress one time. This is when I was quite young. And this guy came in, and he used to come in, bug me all the time. Oh, geez, that sucks. He comes in and he orders, he was kind of a smart ass. Okay, first off, he was in every day. He was a regular customer every day. Holy crap. Those are some heavy medications. Somebody orders a coffee. The lady next to him orders a coffee. So he says to me, I'll have a cup and a small fry. Guess what I brought him? I brought him a cup and a small fry.
Oh, literal. Okay. Gotcha.
Right? But it was the comedic stuff. It wasn't, I knew what he was asking for, and, but people that are autistic on the spectrum, a lot of times they have those very literal thoughts, right? And that, well, you didn't ask me for coffee in a cup, you asked me for a cup, and you didn't ask me for a small plate of fries or whatever. You asked me for a small fry, so it didn't even get cooked. It was like I brought him a frozen small fry and a and a cup and a mug, like, because that's what he asked me for.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't ask me to cook it. He didn't, and I mean, I was just being a smart ass, but like, that's sort of an example of how an autistic mind might think in the literal sense, right?
Well, my stepson, he has Asperger. Well, they used to term it
Asperger,
Asperger's,
yeah.
so
They
I
used,
know
yeah,
all about this. You have to tell him
yes,
step by step, step by step by step.
yes, and it has to
So
be
much.
very, very detailed, because any loophole that you leave is going to be found. So when my daughter was 3, she had colored on the walls with markers. And I said, did you color on the walls? No. And I said, well, why are you lying to me? I'm not lying to you. Well, who colored on the walls? The markers did. Well, who was using the markers, right? So you have to be very... She was diagnosed as an adult because at the time, you know, that's like... My children are highly intelligent, so...
Yeah,
Thank you,
I've read,
Chris.
off topic, but I've read it's hard to get a diagnosis as an adult. Is that
Yes.
true?
I think so.